Hello there everyone and welcome back. I had a little bit of issue for some reason in my first two matches, my first two attempts of a stream, but I did decide to reinstall Battlefleet Gothic just in case, but I fear what we may have encountered in my first two matches was more of a possible exploit, since the battle was still going on but I could not control my fleet, even if we had a 100 millisecond ping. But we're going to try again with this rock fleet, and I'm curious if this continues to happen or if it's just some weird luck. Because I seriously want to be the host of that match as opposed to the one having to deal with the latency to see if that makes a difference. Assuming we face the same opponent, that is. That is the assumption, at least. Oh no. Face off against Dark Assassin. I'm trying to remember who our Tyranid adversary was, but either way, this will be a bit of a warm-up match. I wonder how comfortable am I with rocks, because they're going to do a lot of AoE damage, so I do want to be spread out a bit, which can be tricky with only 9,000 range. I'm just thinking on how to best mitigate and manage. Actually, I can use a frigate over on the right side, but I'm just wondering how to best manage that Nurgle cloud, since it is a 9,000 range ability, isn't it? And that's part of my conundrum. I can't conveniently keep doing damage to him if I want to avoid that. So I'm gonna have little choice but to take the hits. Let's see. State spawn would be great for keeping away. To be fair, I hardly play any of the factions. Alright, with that said, let's get to the point, or at least attempt to, and see how this goes for a warm-up fleet. I kind of want to stay spawned just in case. Because they are, well, I have a good speed, so maybe the stay spawn's not as needed, but I don't expect them to stay still either for me to do the damage I want. Oh well, let's have a proper match at least. So this is the 6 Grand Cruisers. I'm trying to remember what ships they were. Actually, with rocks, maybe I try and destroy their deck. If I could be so lucky. At least it'll be a little bit simpler for this fleet.
Orcs, orcs, orcs!
Oh well.
You want us over there?
We'll see how this goes. If we can make this work, then that'll be nice, but what's the main thing we got? What is the main thing we need to keep in mind? Really just the this Nurgle a Plague Cloud. That's gonna be hard to manage.
You got it, boss!
And I don't have the Wog Song either, which may be a bit of a mistake. I could see reasonable use for having the Wog Song here.
Yeah?
Oh well, let's just get our battleship in to kind of join. Maybe just tractor cam my rocks forward a bit.
Ready.
Helps to type in that manner too.
Here we go!
Otherwise, there's not really a lot I can do but to just recklessly attack, move into them.
The enemy has
If they have
seized a strategic area.
If they have the lances, then I don't have much There's not much I could do but take the hits, really.
The fight is over here! What you want?
But let's at least fire a couple torpedoes to scare them, although that's going to hit me a bit too. But they don't have armor piercing, I'm not worried.
Hold on to something!
Okay, so just this
You
fleet
got it,
again.
boss.
They do have armor piercing last I checked, so...
Enemy ship sight! Orcs, orcs, orcs! Faster, you grots! Move that junk!
Now just tractor cannon them forward, ideally.
We's ready! The fight is over here!
Although my ships are kind of getting the way of each other too, to an extent, so...
Time to stomp them! Orcs is best! Retro's on! Here we go!
Alright, boost on
You
forward.
have seized a strategic area.
Do what damage you can.
Faster, you grunts!
Because, yeah, they have a pretty simple strategy, which is just to fly away, which is kind of what I was worried about.
Orcs, orcs, orcs!
So we're going to need to get a little creative
You want us over there? What you want?
to make this stick eventually.
Faster, you grunts! Yeah?
Now, are you going to stay in the gas cloud, though, is the big question.
Orcs is best! You got it!
That's what I'm curious to see.
You want us over there? Orcs, orcs, orcs!
Because, yes,
Orcs
run.
brave!
Run from me.
Get him!
And if I can
You
get another
got it,
track
boss.
can, I'll help ease this along a bit. I would like to boost this one forward, though.
Full speed! Move that junk!
Can I get close enough to this?
Wings ready!
Because pretty soon they'll get pincered into a corner.
You got it!
Oh, what happened to my
Here we
tractor
go.
cannon? Why did I not do any more? Interesting. That I was not expecting.
The fight is over here! Here we go! Locked on, boss!
Now, if we could kill engines, start crippling them, that'd help a ton. And we are getting hits eventually.
Hit a rat
I'm
farm!
wondering why
The
my
enemy has
boosters
seized
are
a
so
strategic
intermittent.
area.
I thought I told you all to boost already, so I'm a little bit shocked it's not doing that.
You got it! What you want?
Yeah, there is again. My boosters
Move
are...
that junk!
Yeah, boosters, well, that's probably because you haven't used yours in this one case, but...
Faster, you grots! What do you want?
Just keep doing
You
damage. You
orders
do have
over
armor
there?
piercing, right? Yes, you do.
Orcs, orcs, orcs! Let's show 'em!
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
Reloading!
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
We stopped the enemy ship!
Now,
Orcs is
you can
best.
go faster than this. Come on. Oh, a group order.
You got it.
No wonder they're getting all messed up.
Not that one!
That's disappointing.
Orcs is best!
The reason they're lagging behind so much is because of the dang group
You
orders.
got it, boss! Mech boys! Get to work, you lazy gits. Yeah,
So that's your second
the fight
State
is over
spawn.
here. More Dakar.
And now let's get to work.
Hit the red
Without
button.
you causing trouble, will you please?
Move that junk. Full speed. Boss, we gotta go. That one's full of grots anyhow. You got it, boss.
Alright. I'm waiting for the mutiny. Then we'll rally.
Boss, we gotta go. Locked on, boss. More Dakar. Here we
Not
go.
the most exciting matches, I guess, but your group ordering again, dang it. I think that's what just happened there.
Oi! That ship's got holes in it! Waltz is best. Faster, you grunts!
Just keep on moving. And we'll see about reactivating at some point in the near future if this continues
What's
to
over there?
drag on. We'll see. We are doing damage.
Orcs! Taking damage, boss!
It's maybe not all that exciting amount of damage, but that was our last safe spawn, keep in mind too. And we still got a ways to go.
Full speed!
And honestly,
Faster, you grunts!
what I should be trying to do is grab these points, but that's what the frigates would have been better served for.
They got one of our ships, boss!
Oh, and I didn't realize I
You got
scuttled
it,
with
boss.
that either, so that's interesting.
New orders over there!
I was not expecting that unless I accidentally clicked it without realizing it.
Here we go!
Hard to
Faster, you
say.
grunts. What do you want? Orcs!
Now just get yourself a position. Yeah, they're going after their flagship, but I can mitigate that pretty
The
well.
fight is over here!
And rocks can take a good amount of damage. We
The
just
enemy
need to
has
actually start
accumulated
killing their
50%
ships.
of strategic points.
Which a flagship would be
Move
perfect,
that
but
junk.
this is a lot of the reason why I should have prioritized the engines. I figured maybe destroying the deck was a good idea, but I'm realizing my folly here.
Here we go! New orders over there! Enemy ship sighted! Enemy ship sighted! Wings ready! Enemy ship sighted! The fight is over here!
So I'm not in good shape though still. This is probably
Hit the red button!
looking to be a loss still, just because again I didn't prioritize the engines like I probably should have.
Yeah!
And you're gonna get in a gas cloud in a moment, so I'm fine there.
Orcs!
5 seconds until the rocks have their fun.
Move that junk! You got it!
Things are starting to fall apart, if only slightly.
Move that junk! We'll fight another day! What do you want? Ah, I can't pass!
We're almost there. It's a bit of a mess, but the deck's gone. We need to kill engines for this to be
Locked on,
abused.
boss!
The enemy has seized
fire
a
assaults-
strategic area.
Are sadly gonna kill off
Full speed!
the crew here, or at least gonna force a mutiny pretty soon.
You got it, boss. The fight is over here. You ain't the boss of me. Force is best. I can't, boss.
No, just hit with everything.
The fight is over here.
And ideally, kill this flagship as a bonus.
Holding is what orcs do best. Orcs.
Although,
Enemy
what?
ship
Oh,
sighted.
my track can't cease working because it got out of range if I had to guess. Okay.
Let's show 'em.
If I had to guess, that's what happened.
Move that junk.
Alright.
You have seized a strategic
Again,
area.
my big priority, my big air probably was not going after the engines alone.
You want us over there?
That would have gone a lot better otherwise, since their fleet was starting to fall apart.
You got it.
I just had no way to... I wasn't getting the critical hits to capitalize on it.
Orcs. Move that junk.
So let's see what we can kill,
We
if
get
nothing
shot
else.
up.
Since at this
Here we
point it's
go.
over,
Faster, you grunts.
oh well. Because we do have deck critical hits, but this damaging deck does as little if we're not getting the
The enemy is
mutinies.
close to victory by strategic points.
So, I feel like all I had to do was switch the priority and that would have gone so much better for me. So if we get a rematch, let's try and prioritize the engines this time. Yeah, we didn't even see the void cloud. Now I'm wondering if a shock attack gun would be useful here, since Stasis Bomb did almost nothing, let's be honest here. Assuming we get a rematch. I am honestly curious. Since they were about to break, the simple truth of the matter is, I just didn't bother going after the objective at all. So getting some good long-range boarding would have helped seal the deal, since sadly my rocks couldn't do lightning strikes of their own. And Novacans are sure to not hit at all either. It may have seemed like a boring kite fest, but keep in mind, I was slowly starting to tear them apart at the end, since they had no more stasis bombs, and I was finally getting close range due to my rock speed. I just did really poor prioritization and arguably really poor skills for that situation. Since the stasis bomb is so much harder to use when you're the aggressor, since I don't really have the range to just put it in front of them the best, especially with something so slow as a battleship. So I want to try it again, but just to see if we can refine that a bit. And honestly, in situations like that, orcs should be just prioritizing the objective anyway. If I had more cruisers, or, well, my frigates could have done that pretty well. And then that would have been a different story. I could have kited them all day, sure, but grabbing the objectives would have made life so much easier for me. So long as the frigates don't get sniped down while he's doing ring around the rosy, that's the problem. And with how long it takes for the frigates to steal points, they easily could circle around and get them, especially with the prow lances. So realistically, I think maybe one of my rocks, once they start getting softened up, should turn to grab the points. Kind of like that one rock that lost its crew. That might be a good alternative. It still wouldn't grab the points really quickly, mind you. But if it's better than laying a frigate, that's so much easier to kill with all that weaponry. Although I wonder what happened there. We did have a connection, there we go. Now we got a connection. And I am honestly curious if we run into our Tyranid friend again that I was having weird glitching with. Just so I can replicate that and maybe learn what it is. No, is that all? Fine, go your Tyranids. Now, what do I expect? Boarding's not really a concern here. I'm immune to Pyre Acid, or almost entirely immune to Pyre Acid. Because the rocks are in general just immune to critical hits, so in theory that should go well for me. It's Massive Claw I need to be wary of, and I feel like I learned something important with the Tractor Cannon. It immediately stops working when it gets out of range, so use him. Well, don't worry, there was another opponent I had, which is why I'm partly curious to encounter him again. Either way, this should be good for me. I just gotta be mindful of the Master Claws. Since I'm not worried about Pyre Acid, boarding could be a pain, but if Dark Assassin overcommits on the boarding too much, then I can just reactivate with a single, troop transfer, or transfer troops. Which should work pretty well for me. Otherwise, my path seems straightforward. I have no fighters. And I'm wondering what other upgrades could be worth considering. With Rush, Plasma Bomb is not likely to do much. Hell, the only reason I'm considering Tractor Cannon is because Massive Claws could give me a lot of problems, maybe. Since I want to ram them on the side, ideally.
Faster, you grots!
Now, where do I realistically don't want them to engage me from? Because there's going to be a 3-minute timer. So hopefully that can come back up in time
Ready.
for if any engagements over on the left here. And I'm not hearing rushes, so that could mean anything as well.
Wings ready!
Honestly, let's spread out the Orc rocks a tiny bit.
Faster, you grunts!
The enemy has seized a strategic
I'm wondering if
area.
that's a good idea or not. We know where the capital ships are, at least. We see one of them grab the
You
point
want us
already.
over there?
So there's that.
Yeah? Full speed! The fight is over here!
You have seized a strategic area.
I'm just wondering how the hell I could plan my attack here.
Move that junk!
Because yeah, beacon here is basically going to be pointless. It's just to cover my flank, but realistically I probably could have done something up here.
Orcs is best! You got it?
Alright.
Hit the red button!
And also, I did not hear any tracking senses, but if they reveal me, that would be a bit of a tell if they're
Here we
nearby
go.
or not.
Orcs is best! Orcs,
Now let's
orcs,
try and reveal them. At least attempt
Yeah.
to.
We's ready!
You have seized a strategic area. The enemy has seized a strategic area.
You got it, boss!
Tractor cannons are fun, though, at
We
least.
won!
But
Here we go! You
let's
got
just
it.
wait till the last possible second. I still have 40 seconds
We's
until
ready!
the beacon comes back up.
Retro's on! You got it, boss!
And I did not pay attention to how quickly...
Orcs is best! You want us over there?
Alright,
What you want?
So we have a lot of strangle tentacles, which we can play with.
Over here.
We can do something about strangle tentacles.
Best.
Now it's just, if it's possible, we could just boost right by. Oh yeah, I forgot the tractor cannon paused your rush. It would have been really good to use that to cancel your rush, but still.
Reloading.
Let's fire everything.
Faster, you cross. Yeah. Blaze ready.
Now, if we could kill these, that would be great. And track can would be nice at just dealing with these pretty well too.
Full speed.
Because again, overcommit on your boarding.
Move that junk.
That's not an issue.
The fire's over here.
Yeah, and you're all scanner pulse, so
Best.
good luck with that.
Full speed.
Now I'm waiting for it.
You want us over there? What do you want? Faster, you crots.
Oh well. I was expecting more of a rush, but
Fight
still.
another day.
That would have been nice if I could have somehow canceled that.
Yeah. Move that junk. We'll fight another day.
Oh yeah. I didn't bother repairing the
You got it, boss.
the critical hits from the crew damage, so that was a big mistake on my part.
Wheels ready.
I didn't really need to do anything else. And of course, grouping up, I guess, was a terrible idea there too.
You got it.
I was expecting Pyras and all that, and not kind of like my fleet, sort of, with the strangle tentacles.
Orcs, orcs, orcs.
Oh well.
Orcs is best.
Let's just try and give this a serious game at
You
that
want us over
point.
there?
Track game can be amazing, but maybe it was a mistake
You
going
have
after a flagship
accumulated
too,
25%
just because
of
of its
strategic
ability
points.
to just teleport out. That would have been amazing if it somehow canceled
We got 'em.
the jump, but that would probably be a little too ridiculous, wouldn't it?
Enemy ship
Simply
sighted.
put, though, all I had to do was just repair those fire results, and my rocks would have been in really good shape. Of course, spraying them out means they wouldn't get stacked by the spore fields too. I was expecting more Massa Claw or Pyre Acid, really, since no one else really uses Strangle Tentacles. We learned my mistake there, but we can improve on it. Let's give this Orc fleet a proper victory, if it's even possible, because boarding is still going to be ridiculous to deal with. I like the idea of using Tractican again, basically murders one of those hive ships. If I time it right, I think. I'm trying to remember. It gives them a massive speed boost for like a second, I think, or 2 seconds. I have no way to check that now, sadly, but yes, until I switch over on the Tyranids, but I think I have to wait till they're done turning first, and then Tractican as they're moving, rushing away. Because the Tractican apparently didn't do anything to pause their rush. And I wonder, oh well. At least I could sort of deal with Seeker missiles if this is like, what, a 6-cruiser fleet or something? And with no fire cell, this could be a bit of a problem as far as just taking the hits. But the rocks at least are pretty good at dodging Seeker missiles, but how do I protect the battleship? Outside of just having the rocks take the hits for me. Well, stasis bombs are useful for that, but let's see. Yeah, stasis bomb is just useful for bunching up the seeker missiles for me, but if I can't kill any fighters, that does not help at all. I don't need beacon. Oh well, this is more just a silly fleet anyway, so I'll have to switch over to something else, win or lose with this. But let's give this one more try either way. And actually, let me just switch over to brace for impact right away, but again, it's a question how to protect the battleship. Because just hiding the gas cloud is probably not going to do it much favors when fighters can just hover over it all day. Something we'll have to play test a bit. Because how much point defense do I realistically have? Because I don't think it's nearly as much as orcs normally, because these rocks are just so damn expensive compared to all the other ships in the orc fleet. I want that to be group 2. There we go, group 1. I'm probably putting too many matches into this fleet anyway. I just would have liked to have gotten a win. The first 2 matches I played, which then OBS decided to die on me, we had some really weird matches with a possible exploit going on. I just could not tell you until we encounter him again. Just a light cruiser fleet. Something yeah, Demir could easily be hiding in the rocks. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah? The fight is over here!
So let's just push things forward.
Here we go!
If they're light cruisers, well, my battleship has a good position to grab multiples of these. Alright, so that's like a couple frigates there, or light cruisers.
What do you want?
You have seized a strategic
Until
area.
we see more.
The enemy has seized a
They
strategic
basically grabbed
area.
it at almost the same time as me.
Move that junk!
So I want to say that is like a bunch of light cruisers, and the rocks should be pretty good at chasing them down. Since we saw how close that could have been for victory for me against Chaos, and that's only because the Chaos fleet has all the weapons on the broadside. Now just consider how much better this could go, assuming they're all like just railgun ships and there's nothing hiding like this asteroid belt. If they were like just Tau cruisers or just the emissaries,
The fight is over here!
since all the weapons are stuck on the prow.
Here we go!
Although they're gonna try and isolate the battleship, I imagine, with this kind of a
What do you want?
hide and seek type of game. And there's no real reason to hide myself too much anyway,
You got it, boss!
since we're not seeing anything scary.
What do you want?
But just for
The fight is
safety's
over
sake, I
here!
want to check this asteroid belt, because you never can tell.
Here we go!
And I have to remember to prioritize components too.
Move that junk!
And I gotta also keep an eye on for the dang group order, because apparently that messed up with 2 of my rocks, and who the hell knows how that could have turned the tide of that battle for me too.
Move that junk!
Against the Chaos Fleet. There are so many things. If
You
they
got
didn't
it.
happen, would that have made a difference?
What do you want?
It makes me eager to play against the Chaos Fleet again, I'm gonna be honest. Despite how lackluster that may have been,
You got it, boss!
either way, just keep boosting with you.
Enemy ship side!
You have seized a strategic area.
Alright. I have good weaponry there, so that's not a problem.
Faster, you
But
grots!
it's a bit of a meme fleet.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
But a lot of ion cannons, which actually,
Faster, you grunts!
yeah, just go in there and just murder them. You have a, if you can hit multiples of them at a time, the damage might even be worth it there.
Orcs, orcs, orcs!
The honest question though is if I want two of them to do that, because the armor piercing is going to be a pain over time.
Enemy ship sighted! You orders over there?
And the odd thing is they actually do have broadside weaponry
You
here,
have seized
so
a strategic area.
I don't know if it does you much favors though.
We'll fight another day!
And you did scanner pulse, so there's not much you can do there, and again, if I can shoot 3, maybe even 4 of these ships, then this rock's doing amazing work for me.
We stumped the enemy ship! Now let's go, red boom!
Yeah, I gotta keep... Ooh, that hurt my ears. I apologize if you had to listen to that. But this is gonna be rough, because now the rocks are like MVPs for this type of match.
Move that junk!
So these light cruisers are just, well, they're just slower by nature due to being light cruisers. I don't want to get you on the rear if I can help it.
You got it, boss!
And I have scanner pulses to help too.
Here we go! Enemy
So just
ship
ram
sighted.
everything for me. Aw, did I have to really pull him that perfectly that I couldn't get the triple?
Faster, you grunts!
And the flagship is going to be at risk of dying, so can I manage the morale well
Move that
enough?
junk!
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points. The enemy is seizing one of your strategic
Because I am getting to
areas.
shoot potentially even the frigates with the battleship right now. It's just still a lot of hit points to get through. You're just so far, you're just barely out of reach. There we go. Problem solved. Maybe.
Boy, the ship's got holes in it!
Now 1, 2, 3, 4,
Boy, boys, think good, boss!
and one more for 5. Let's do this. Get the battleship in on this too. Now I wish I could turn on. Actually, I can't turn off the overlay. It's a little late though.
Big boy, get to work!
Ooh, that was a perfect time for the repair to come back up. But the flagship's about to die. Morale needs to be a priority. Once that does die, I'm waiting for it.
Hit the red button! Taking the next bus!
I'm waiting for the flagship to die, and
We gotta go!
I was gonna say, was I really gonna be the cause of my own ship's death?
Boss.
That'd be kind of funny.
You orders over there?
Yeah, the rocks with the track can are nice. They're fun, but of course not very practical, and actually I'll mention after the match, but I learned something important about the track can you may not be aware of,
Move that junk!
since you're always sort of pulling ships towards you as opposed to running away with them. And that's it, the fact that as soon as my ships get out of reach of the tractor cannon, or any ship really,
The enemy has
it just
accumulated
turns off.
25% of
It just
strategic
stops
points.
automatically and I don't
You
get the
have
full pull
accumulated
or the full effect of the
75%
tractor
strategic
cannon.
points.
Oh, that's a shame. You had to destroy it at the last possible second, sure. It wasn't a serious fleet, mind you, but all those frigates normally would be terrifying. Potentially terrifying because they had a lot of armor piercing with those lances, so that could have done good work against my rocks. The funny thing is, my rocks were so damn valuable because they basically were allowed to shoot 4 times because they have weapons on all 360 degrees of this thing. You'd be lucky to get 2 of those guns to shoot, but imagine how ridiculous it is if 3 or 4 of these heavy guns are hitting. That is why those rocks were invaluable there in such a mess. And probably should not have just kamikaze on the flagship, even if that was, again, a bit of a weird fleet or but not a serious fleet. Still, like I hinted at, what I learned playing with the tractor cannon again, it just automatically actually I can just show this, can't I? Just to emphasize my point a little bit better. And maybe, if there is anyone else in the queue, Dark Assassin can go ruin their day instead of mine. Now, I want to try and get this properly. We already seen it in game. I just want to make sure you see it there. Bedoris OB. I don't know who you are in the YouTube channel. As excited as you are to be here for a stream, but actually, let me get further away so that way I can just move forward. Yeah, that works perfectly.
The fight is over here!
There's nothing exciting to it, just if I remember correctly. Yeah, it just turns off as soon as they get out of range. And sadly, that hurts the potential of even using any of my ships for aggressive means. Even though it actually was kind of helpful to get the rocks on the Chaos Fleet earlier. I want to say it was actually useful there if I can't reach them to pull their Dark Assassin's Hades to me. That's just one thing I'm going to have to keep in mind if I want to get full value out of it though. Which arguably is really hard to get full value anyway, since those rocks are normally going to be likely at the edge of my range for the tracked cannon. Alright, so I might come back to this later. Let's see. What do I want to jump over next? So you're Smurf Moose, I believe is how you pronounced it, or at least told me it was pronounced. A pleasure for you to make the stream, although it's been a weird stream. Thankfully, I did reinstall Battlefleet Gothic after my first glitchy matches, which seems like it fixed the Invisible Fleet error. I just don't know what else it may have potentially fixed. But I guess we'll celebrate this occasion of you jumping onto the stream. We'll give you the fleet that you so endear. Whether it wins is a different story, because we're still trying to learn how to get the most out of this. Assuming we get an opponent though, because sadly, with the player base is slowly dwindling down, so I don't think streaming is going to be ideal unless we're going to have a lot of downtime. That's the only sad fact there, until we get something to reinvigorate everyone to play more Battlefleet Gothic again, that is. Since, how many are we at currently? Sadly I have to alt-tab out, but yeah, we're just under 500, which I believe it was 600, maybe even 700 last week when I streamed. Can I even remember when I last streamed? I guess we could do basic math. So it was Saturday. Oh, it even tells me on here what day it was, so Saturday was, yeah, just around 600, so it didn't drop that much, I suppose, but well, really, the cold, honest truth is you just need people to play the game, really. Multiplayer is intimidating enough as is. You just need the people to just play the game in general. And for that to work, if you can make the campaign or even the skirmish mode just that much fun to play, which there are possibilities, I guess outside the campaign it is pretty basic though. You can do 1v1 versus AI, you could do the massive fleets with the Titan ships, but that can get boring pretty quickly, if not just be kill your PC, I suppose, so you couldn't really enjoy it otherwise. Multiplayer is just that intimidating, but 2v2 is a way to get around that, but there's no one playing 2v2 really. Sure, the fact they got rid of rank progression in 2v2 may have hurt a little bit, but that only would have slowed down the inevitable. I honestly would feel. It would have just delayed it maybe another week, a couple weeks before people stopped playing it. So honestly, just make the game in general just that enjoying the play. Because after all, as a perfect example, Smurf Moose, you talk about how much you enjoy just watching the game. You don't need to play multiplayer to just enjoy it. Especially if there's like replay functionality, like with StarCraft or just tournaments in general. That can alone help incentivize the multiplayer quite a bit in a lot of different ways. So I honestly just believe just getting people to play the game helps it the most. And at least the regular player base is I want to say a lot better than it was with Armada 1, but it's really hard to compare because I would have to find the exact point, like was it about a year and a half almost, and just compare it to what Armada 1 was, which that's almost a terrible example because we did have the Battlefleet Gothic Championship for Armada 1 like maybe 2 or 3 months before this, which had a nice surge of players too. So yeah, in the end, just giving people reasons to play the game in general helps most. And really, if only we could get additional DLC, even if it's for the campaign or other features, would help a ton there. Even if it's only short-lived, I guess. And mainly for a single player. It gets people talking about the game more, especially when there's there's like a 50% sale to complement it. Since you don't really need the DLCs to play the multiplayer all. So it helps it a lot in that regard too. But yeah, I sadly am fearing I may have to go back to just the YouTube videos just so we can cut down on the downtime. And of course, it gives me better convenience on finding different opponents. Since I played 3 matches against Dark Assassin, they were definitely matches I would like to try again. Especially since I messed up so badly with the Tyranids one. Just because Strangled Tentacles is supposed to be my fleet, damn it. He stole my fleet and I'm gonna have to file a lawsuit on dang Dark Assassin now. I almost called him Dank Assassin. But yeah. The Chaos Fleet, I played Chaos first since you missed that there Smurf Moose. That was actually, I would argue if I had prioritized the engines instead of the deck, on top of a couple other little things, that probably could have been a win for me because he was falling apart once he burnt all his stasis bombs. I just didn't have enough firepower or ships to seal the deal. Yeah, and the good news is I actually played a little bit of the campaign recently with my nephew. He finally got to try out the campaign and we did it super ridiculous. We gave the AI the hardest difficulty possible. We doubled the starting fleet amount. So we had 1,000 starting fleet right off the bat. They were all light cruisers, of course. But we spent 45 minutes just slowly dismantling Eldari fleet that was like 6,000, 7,000 points when we got to the second region. I forget what it was called. It was ridiculous, it was a mess, and we actually suffered a lot of casualties there, since we were demolished them otherwise, even with such massive fleet. It's just a shame we haven't had a chance to do more of that, because I was actually really considering doing some YouTube videos of our co-op play. But sadly, we haven't gotten around to that mainly because the portrait update, he wasn't able to update because he only had 1 gigabyte and Steam didn't allow him to update it until he cleared up space, I assume. So I don't know if he got around to clearing up space or not on his hard drive. And I don't know if you ever saw that video, but about a year ago, I had my nephew on a YouTube channel where I basically made 2 fleets while he was doing backseat commentary. I'm a little bit afraid of alt-tabbing out because it will kill this. it would kill the audio, but I could link you that video so you can have a look at that later, in case you didn't see it yet. Because I know what it's called, I just apologize for alt-tabbing out. Can I find this mess though? Because it's about a year ago, so I know what I'm looking for. And we just made 2 random custom fleets essentially. I had a, what is it, hybrid Carnage and Slaughter fleet, I believe, for Chaos. And I can't remember what the Imperial Navy fleet was. And I think I just played a 3rd one at the beginning, which was just Tau Crew War Spear. I can't remember, or maybe that was on another occasion when I was introducing the game to him. And I'm trying to remember the date. February 3rd, we need to go back quite a bit then. This is going to take a while. Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump more than 1 page, am I? This is gonna take a while, folks. I apologize, but at least it's a good opportunity to kill the downtime, I suppose. I just wish there was an option. I double checked to make sure, but there's no way I can allow the background music to play while I'm alt-tabbed out. Yeah, let's do 50 rows a page. That might be part of my problem. We're at least back to October, so that helps a bit. It was before the Imperial Navy, was it legendary rank attempt, so we're narrowing it out a bit. I'm looking for the video name called Second in Command. I remember what it was called. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding it. Because now I see my Azuyani fleet, which I'm certain was before. It's going to take a little bit of time, like I said. Okay, let me just try again, go past the Azuyani there, maybe that'll help. I'm just making sure, I'm looking between the Azuyani ranked attempt and the Imperial Navy ranked attempt, just to make sure I didn't miss it between there. I suppose I could just do a search, damn it. Stupid me. Second in Command, there it is. Well, I could have done this so much sooner, stupid me. Yep, so you found it, so I don't even need to link it then. Alright. So I did all that searching for nothing when I could have just told you what the name of the video is. Doesn't even... Yeah, I'm looking at my, was the creator dashboard. I'm trying to see if it tells me the date this was published anywhere. Doesn't want to tell me. Oh well, I guess you found it then. So we don't need to look at this anymore. Yeah, September 7th. Okay, so I see it there. Oh, and I actually skipped right over it, stupid me. Since I used the thumbnail. Yeah, now I forgot what I said because I just read your comment, so. I remembered the name, I misjudged when it was because it was September, not in the middle of summer. Oh well. That's unfortunate, because we may not be getting many matches at this point. And the later this goes on, we're not going to get much more either, so. But that was just ideas on what I had for more Armada 2 content, since, really, I don't feel like just doing a solo campaign play is even going to be all that exciting. I just demolished everything with Imperial Navy, and I just cheesed the final Abaddon fight, which is sadly I missed out on a really entertaining battle, having to just wait for the ships to come to me, essentially. If I had flown into the middle of the map and played that battle as Tyndalos had in mind, that would have been amazing crisis management to have to do. So I'm really saddened I had to do that. And, well, like I said, I could have just... I'm trying to think. I'm wondering if going to the settings is for single player just to describe what our playthrough options were or modifiers were for the co-op. Since it seems like we have no opponent here at the moment, and I don't even think I saved it because I let my nephew have control of that, so I'm pretty certain none of these are it. I want to believe because none of these are custom. And at least custom that are like 50 or 100 turns were about in, so... Yeah, like I said, I just kind of cheesed it. I knew what to expect, but I regret not having done what Tyndall's wanted me to do. I just waited in the corner to let them come to me instead. So we did... Let's see, we got rid of the cost for defenses, because that was pretty boring experience. Or actually no, we made it like ridiculously cost. We reduced practically everything down. Not to like nothing, mind you, but it was incredibly cheap. I don't think we've seen an ultimate ability though at all, but everything was brought down low. We kept all these secondary missions available. We got rid of the level modifier, because since we were empowering them in every other way, we didn't need to do that, including the leadership and all that. So that was all normal. Enemy fleet capacity, I believe we maxed that out. Because we also maxed out our own leadership for that case, as well as the fleet capacity. I can't remember what we did with the warp risk. I don't think we turned it off at all. I think we just left it at 80%. We had additional starting resources because we were worried the maintenance costs would be ridiculous. Or no, actually what we did, we got rid of the upkeep entirely. So that, because our big concern was not being able to afford such a massive fleet so early on. And then I don't think we changed anything in the repair rate or anything like that though. But basically, the cost of all the fleets was dropped down quite heavily, so that way they could constantly move around. Sadly, it didn't seem all that exciting for assault and movement costs, but they were incredibly cheap otherwise. I just can't remember how much they were, but we doubled up everything, and like I said, the final stronghold of the Azuyani for like the second region, I forget what it was called when they were introduced, had like 7,000, 8,000 fleet points. So we spent 45 minutes basically just killing them piecemeal. And it was a great time. Incredibly drawn out, of course, but it was a great time there. You say it's a harsh campaign, we demolished everything with Imperial Navy. It was only that final battle we actually lost cruisers. Otherwise, it was a couple of light frigates we were having issues with. Which is probably all the more reason why I hope we can do more of those co-ops and maybe post that on the YouTube channel as well. But it was fun there. Although, yeah, I don't think my nephew will ever see this anyway, but if we ever play the co-op more, I expect we're going to get demolished by orcs just because how close range centric their fleet is, and with our torpedoes and own close range weaponry, we're probably going to be stuck in an awkward position we can't kill them fast enough. So we're going to have to learn to retreat and come back when they're still repairing. Which, funny enough, is how my first few turns in the Cadia sector was when I played Armada 2 on hard difficulty by myself. I deliberately attacked a fleet that was 3 times my size, with the sole intention of just crippling and destroying ships so that way I can repair and finish them off in a second attack. And it worked out beautifully. Aw. That's a shame. Like, you need the right mindset, that's for sure there, and of course the right settings definitely help too, because if it's just steamrolling and you don't feel incentivized to try and play efficiently, especially if you're going to do every single battle as opposed to letting the auto-resolve go, then it can get boring pretty quickly. We were not getting bored of it. Any little mistake we did we knew would cost the ships and then eventually things would just unravel if we did not maintain our fleet strength throughout the entire campaign. We knew how badly it could go for us. So we treat it like every mission mattered, especially with not doing auto-resolve as well. Otherwise, still no opponent. For all I know, Dark Assassin stole them if he's still around. So I do apologize to you guys on the stream at least. Because if we don't get a good handful of matches, there's not much reason to post this on the YouTube either. And I am going to be leaving for like dinner in a couple hours too, so it's not like I have that convenience to just wait for matches. That's what my YouTube videos are for, damn it, not a stream. But yeah, as much as just making the game in general enjoyable to play, if Tindalos can give us more in like actual balance patches, like update patches, DLC, whether they're working on Armada 3 or not, that helps a bit too. And you would think they should do DLC just so they can make a bit extra money out of this game, right? I don't know how it works financially, if they can actually get a decent amount of profit to justify like the Eldari campaign they teased they might do. That was way back when they first announced Armada 2, so without a doubt they probably are not committing to that now, but they did say in an interview with, was it Chapter Master Valrak, that they were thinking if they were going to do additional DLC that they would consider doing the, was it Chaos Campaign, which they did, and then they said that the other faction they would consider doing, if they were going to do DLC, would be the Eldari side of the war. So, there's opportunity for that, and Eldari would be a case of you playing Strukari, Azuliani Corsairs, I imagine. Well, thankfully it looks like the Portrait DLC, as we'll dub it there, has been fixed mainly from reinstalling, I guess. So that was probably on my end a weird corruption state that happened. From the looks of it. From the 2-3 matches I did after reinstalling, it seems like it fixed itself. But yeah. Sadly, this is kind of the same route Tindalos did with Armada 1 as well. They were really good on their roadmap. They kept, month and a half type updates up until they completed their DLC, including the Tau faction for the 1v1 skirmish and multiplayer. And keep in mind, DLC for Armada 1 was just additional factions you could play, basically for multiplayer primarily. And maybe the skirmish, as I already said, if you can enjoy that, but that's not a terrible thing, I suppose, since you can level up your fleets and unlock the battleship eventually. Okay, so you had the glitch as well. Well, like I said, reinstalling seemed like it fixed it for me. It seems like, anyway. Again, I'm just sorry. It seems like we're not going to get any matches, so we'll have to see about, well, I guess I'll cut the stream shorter than intended. But we'll go a little bit longer. We'll give it another 5-10 minutes. At least that way, maybe I can just enjoy my weekend a bit. And what I'll try and do in placement of this is to try for a YouTube video tomorrow in that case, with a couple matches, at least to make up for it. But I lost my train of thought. When I was talking about Tindalos and the progression and all that. Yeah, again, the roadmaps, even Armada 2 had really good content updates. They made a lot of changes up until the roadmap was completed, and then they go completely radio silent. So yeah, while I did talk about how just making the game more enjoyable, more incentives to play the game would be nice, just making it feel like to the community that they haven't been abandoned might help too. Because otherwise, it's easy to see if this, or it's easy to think this game is pretty much dead at this point. It certainly seems that way now for multiplayer. Although you can still get a lot of enjoyment out of the single player, I suppose, because... But, I guess like you said there, Fiona, it can be boring. You definitely need to fine-tune it to the exact way you will want to play kind of a grand strategy-esque type of campaign. And it's definitely not for everyone, with that said. Because me and my nephew had a blast just playing for hours there, basically, with the campaign, doing battles that essentially were 45 minutes, as I said. The largest Chaos Fleet we had to deal with in that same second region took us about half an hour, I think, to clear out their massive 5,000 point fleet. So, it works for me, maybe not so much for you, for other reasons, of course. But really, if there was more incentive to just play skirmish against bots, that would help a ton too, because keep in mind, Armada 1 had like a heroic mode, where once you get to max admiral level, you can do like this progressive leveling process where it'll slowly put you up against higher and higher point values of fleets. Which really is not much different than just the options you can randomize here and edit for a skirmish. I think it's like if I were to play with this fleet now, I could just customize the fleet to the same way that they did with Armada 1. Instead of a 1200 point fleet, I can make them have 1500, 1600, etc. Which is basically what the heroic mode was. You just don't have to do the nitty gritty of customizing it yourself. But that's really what the heroic mode was, I think. With it maybe throwing in some Titan ships, which you could turn on as well. The heroic mode, as much as people, I believe, bemoaned it not being in the game, it technically is right here. You just don't realize it to an extent. The Tau campaign mod. This is news to me. Mind you, I don't pay much attention to what goes on in the forums, the community, and all that, so that might be on me a bit. Because really, if I'm playing multiplayer, it's not like I can benefit from mods all that much anyway. Since I haven't really been playing the generic campaign as either, basically. But it's something to add more Armada 2 content, so it's never really a bad thing. It's just honestly a question of how to make that enjoyable, as opposed to just playing Armada 2 campaign yourself. But I am interested what this mod is. At least that justifies a video of some kind, to make people aware of it. But, hopefully, the coronavirus not causing too much issues. Maybe there's something in the works still. Because again, Tindalos have been like this before, basically going radio silence after the roadmap. So I want to believe still that they're working on something. Because all their other games up to this point hasn't really been anywhere near as successful. So if they try to branch off to something new, that's probably going to be hard for them to sell, because it doesn't have the Games Workshop, it doesn't have the Battlefleet Gothic logo on it, essentially. Because it's a really damn good game otherwise. I am definitely happy with it. I really am in love with how the combat works. It's just not for everyone, I understand. Well, I want to believe if it does work that hopefully it's pretty seamless to integrate the co-op mode into that Tau campaign, since after all, the co-op mode is kind of fleshed out at this point now. I don't recall us having any issues at all, me and my nephew, when we did the co-op. It seemed like it worked out incredibly well. I don't recall anything specific, so if they do have the mod, hopefully that's pretty seamless. Or at least the easier portion to implement. And of course, poor Tau, they didn't get any love for this campaign, which I guess is understandable considering they're nowhere near the Eye of Terror. They're relatively close, I guess, on the galactic scale, but they would have to get through quite a bit of the Imperial Navy to get to the Eye of Terror. Hell, if you've seen all the other games like Gladius, and I can't remember if there are any other ones where Tau was implemented as DLC, but Gladius, they just do the whole, they went through like a wormhole or some kind of, was some weird element, I guess a warp portal or something, and just randomly threw them onto the Gladius world. Not even much of a reasonable one that makes sense, just throw them there, oh, they just teleport to Gladius, basically. Which sadly probably would be, if Tau were in this campaign, that would be a lot of the reason why they would be here, huh? The Tau Fa initiative. I will definitely look into that, because that's definitely something a lot of people would not be aware of. So it's worth at least doing a video on. But I do apologize, Fiona, or I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Smurf Moose, but I guess we're not going to get another match today. It's a lot of the reason why I like to try to do the early morning streams. Which ideally I try to do the streams at 11 in the morning, since that seems like a good sweet spot for the Asians and Europeans. Since I don't think we really get very many American players, from my experience. Or at least none that are really on during the later hours. So I think I'm going to stop the stream now, and what I will attempt to do is get a YouTube video for tomorrow, or at least try to get some matches in. Going back, oh, never mind. Someone felt pity for me, I guess, watching the stream. It depends who we're up against, though. What do we get? Alright, I don't know who Nugget is. One I don't recognize, so that clearly means they're maybe a newer opponent. So let's try and somehow make this entertaining. What I'm probably going to do is try not to obliterate them with the Nova cans again. At the very least, I'll just slow them down and try and beat them with the bombers and just my raw macro weaponry. Just to help make this not be one-sided if they don't know how to dodge the Nova cannons. Because that's a lot of what I want most. Just make these matches entertaining so we don't get situations where people run off or get frustrated with the game, and then we have a situation where we don't have a match like we just did. That's all I really want. Otherwise, I will go with armor piercing, because if I'm not going to rely on Novacans murdering them, I'm going to need something else to fall back on. And without a doubt, disruption overcharge, because pausing their shield is going to be helpful. And Stasis Bomb and Rad Storm are going to be a terrible combo, so let's just go all damage then. I'm not against using Eye of the Omni Sign, at least. So we'll use that to just keep them at bay while I hopefully soften them up. Yeah, I am actually in the Discord channel, but I just never look at it, honestly. I could have actually sent a message there for maybe some 2v2. That's a possibility. Ooh. So, we have ourselves 6 cruiser fleet. It is, again, a lower admiral level
The enemy has
because of
seized a
upgrades.
strategic
Oh no,
area.
never mind, they have Flex's Assassin.
To serve the Omnisire.
Interesting. They do have boarding torpedoes though, but guess what? Guess what fleet's really good at dealing with boarding torpedoes right now?
With matchless efficiency.
You have seized a strategic area.
So I don't think I'm worried. I just can't use my bombers aggressively is the problem.
With matchless efficiency.
So I'm gonna have a hard time killing him if I need to
serve the
deal
Omnisire.
with boarding torpedoes.
Interceptors engaging.
So what I'm gonna do is launch 2 bomber squadrons and leave
Calculating
1 on
vectors.
standby. Because if I tag these fighters, then it helps me a
Transition
bit.
begun.
Of course, go figure. They fly right between
We are ready to
my
serve.
bombers. So I'm gonna have to recall you.
Receiving your order.
That much is a given.
The enemy has seized a strategic area. The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So fighters might get shot down some.
Optimal course set.
Alright. I guess I may have lied a tiny bit, because you are a serious threat.
Transition begun.
But I was going to give you the benefit of the
State your
doubt just in
order.
case.
Reroute power to retro propulsion. We are ready to serve. Thruster routines active.
Okay, ground missile's gone there.
The spirits obey.
Actually, yeah, because
Receiving your order.
they're not launching their fighters to defend against the torpedoes, so maybe I'm fine
Engage
just
engine
trying not to
red
murder them
lines.
now. We'll go back to our normal scheduled
Weapons
gameplay,
calibrated.
and we'll see how they react to the rad storm, since I
Rouse
don't
the
have a stasis
engines.
bomb.
Machine spirit appeased. Rouse the engines to fury. State your order.
And I gotta keep in
Engaging
mind
drive.
that you can board the hell out of me.
Transition begun.
Fighters, you know what to do.
Rouse the engines to fury.
Deal with those boarding torpedoes,
Thruster
please.
routines active. Receiving your order. Engage engine red lines. Optimal course set. We are ready to serve.
Okay, most of the boarding torpedoes are gone, that's good.
State your order.
I have armor-piercing ammo, so that'll help a
With
ton.
matchless efficiency. To
Now,
serve the Omnisire.
let's slow you down a bit,
Reroute power to
because you are doing the
retropropulsion.
boarding damage.
The spirits obey.
You're just about to lose your flagship's only downside.
Machine spirit appeased. Rouse the engines to fury. State your order. Calculating vectors. Interceptors engaging.
Alright, bombers, you know what to do.
Engage engine
Dodge
red
these
lines.
torpedoes nice and easily.
Machine spirit appeased.
And just reactivate the flagship.
Receiving your order. Rouse the
Although,
engines.
I might be in a bit of trouble still.
We are ready
We'll
to
see if I can
serve.
reactivate and use some of these weapons.
State your order.
Because if I can keep bombing them... Yeah, because 2 of your ships are about gone there, at least.
To serve the Omnisire. Calculating vectors. Machine spirit appeased. Transition begun.
I wish I could just repair, but I'm not able to.
Receiving your order.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Our vessel screens.
Kill the ships there. We're not out of this yet, though. Although mutiny is kind of
Receiving your order.
a burden. But we have engine critical hits.
Reroute power to retro propulsion. State your order. The spirits obey.
So you're gonna burn to death. You're just gonna blow up everything. I kind of was hoping not to go for boarding, but...
Rouse the engines to fury.
Yeah, actually, I have frigates, too, that I kind of forgot
Thruster
about.
routines active.
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
We are ready to serve.
Oh, that was not what I wanted. I accidentally select you, and I'm just causing more critical hits as a
Engage
result.
chrysalis protocols. To serve the Omnisire.
Alright, so we have
We are
Nova
ready
cans
to
on
serve.
you, sadly.
Engaging drive.
And it's only really one ship at this point that has health.
The enemy has accumulated 50% of strategic
And I did blow up the
points.
flagship, so I don't have those abilities to fall back
Your
on.
order. Calculating vectors. Vital systems near collapse. Optimal course set. Collision protocols active.
If I could get a fire assault of some kind, that'd be great, but
Set.
don't really have much weapons to utilize.
To serve the Omnisire.
But I do have bombers on you, so
Starhawks engaging.
that was a mistake doing that while he was running
We
away,
are
though.
ready to serve.
Because he could shoot down the bombers pretty quickly.
Machine spirit appeased. Receiving your order.
So none of my ships have fighter bays anymore.
Serve the Omnisire.
And you can't repair your fighter bays either.
With matchless efficiency. Receiving your order. Rouse the engines.
You know what I should have done? Just reactivate this
We
ship.
are ready to serve.
Since the crew was gonna die
Transition
anyway.
begun.
Well.
Skitari assault successful. State your order.
Maybe I should have took them seriously.
Optimal
If I
course set.
had got more of those Novocan shots in early,
Severe
then
damage to their corrupted
definitely
machine.
could have won this, since without a doubt if they get
Machine
close I'm
spirit
just dead no
appeased.
matter what. So I need to cripple them really quickly.
The spirits obey. To serve the Omnisire. Calculating vectors.
So I think what I'm gonna just do is buy time.
Because
I can repair the fighter bays here.
Thruster routines active.
And if there's a way I can reactivate the
State
crew, that'd be
your order.
perfect. It's not going to do nearly as much for these cruisers, but
Engaging drive.
it burns some of their abilities, so
Receiving your order. With matchless efficiency.
I realistically should have gone after what had
Receiving
an
your
engine
order.
still, but
Engage engine red
and that was
lines.
dumb on my part. I forgot the frigate was still
Escort ship
boosting.
at null function. Engage engine red lines. Engaging drive.
Yeah, burn these abilities on what has health. You should have saved that for the
Calculating vectors.
cruiser.
Holy Omnisire, heal thy wounded servant.
You got the lucky critical hit anyway, because of course
We are ready
the
to
Mechanicus
serve.
have terrible crew capacity.
Transition begun.
4 seconds.
Rouse the engines.
And now
Starhawks engaging.
You'll have to run away, which is probably what's going to happen here now.
Engaging drive.
But bombers can ignore the shields at least, but
To serve the Omnisire.
The enemy has accumulated 75%
and I do have the
of
engine
strategic
prioritized.
points.
Mutiny. That's even worse than
Transition
having my
begun.
crew die on me.
Reroute power to retro propulsion.
And even worse, the bombers are gone, so I have no bombers left,
Optimal course set.
and I straight up just don't have the power to just kill them.
Rouse the engines to fury. State your order.
If they had their engine down, maybe I could have got something out of this, but yeah.
Vectors.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
I'll just save everyone time here, and let's see. Probably should have took that more seriously, because Space Marines are definitely the ones that can hard kill me, or just murder me instantly just from rushing in there and broadside boring me. Yeah, I had lock on stance and then I switched over to reload. It was the mutiny in the deck losing my crew that turned off my stances there. Brace for impact. I was hoping the fighters would help mitigate that quite a bit, but probably should have gone full defensive fighters as opposed to trying to bomb them at range. Because with all those secret missiles, my fighters could have very easily done a lot of damage to them. And I didn't. I deliberately chose not to go with the stasis bomb as a result too, because that would have been another main upgrade I would have had for that match. So let's give this another try then. So, is it the same one? Nope. Station Mulzer. I don't recognize that name. But let's see. You're from ranked 1, or at least you played a handful of ranked 1, so I'm wondering what that tells me. Because I imagine it might not be too difficult to get to legendary ranking with Tau. And even then, I have 5 fighter squadrons, so I can manage the secret missiles and that pretty well, but I have to go pure defense for that. So let's play this seriously, like what I had in mind for a normal game. So I think we'll start with Brace for Impact, just in case. I am going to have the Stasis Bomb handy. And Rad Storm works perfectly for that, just to doing damage. And I expect my opponent to be somewhere over here, if it's a 6 cruiser fleet and they know what they're doing. And I would like to keep these frigates together, because I could just have them rush down any seeker missiles that are away from the fighters. So I think that benefits me, but Disruption Overcharge, I'll get little value in that. Is a Mission Dissipator good or not? Because I don't really have a lot of... Again, there's not really any upgrades that complement my fleet the best. Unless I want to try and force mutinies with the Culexus Assassin. Because once I destroy their deck, I can do that, but I don't have the boarding to really reliably kill their deck. And I don't know how effective bombers even are at getting critical hits, to be honest. But it's good for when things start to fall apart, if I can get that far.
We are ready to serve.
Okay, so what are we looking at here?
We are ready to serve. Interceptors engaging.
So we have 2 ships here. That's not a crew war spear. That's a frigate. Or, well, I want to say that's just a frigate, because otherwise it would allow me to focus weapons, wouldn't it?
Receiving your order.
Either way,
with matchless efficiency,
I can harass these 2 in front while I grab the points and maybe get some free damage on whatever this is. Who's already going to the gas cloud, so
spirit appeased.
As far as I'm concerned, we're already succeeding by forcing them to run away. And I know for a fact that's not a war spear. It's going pretty slow, but
receiving your
yeah, let me
order.
just recall him so I can save him for whatever's up here. Damage is already being done because this ship's getting spread away from these 2. So that's going to take them another 30 seconds or so just to turn around.
Active.
Aw, they immediately notice. They could be watching, who knows?
Calculating vectors.
You have seized a strategic area.
Because I was hoping for it to commit to going all the way to the gas cloud just again, since it's so separate from these 2 ships. So when I do engage them, it's going to be harder for them to support each other. And everything was recalled, right? I want to make sure I'm not wasting fighters here.
Interceptors engaging.
Realistically, I should have gone after this one, just because it's further away from the gas cloud. But I am curious what you are.
To serve the Omnisire.
I don't want to believe you're... Oh yeah, I forgot, this is also the merchant fleet and not the protector fleet, but...
State your order.
6 cruisers is still a possibility though, so the speed is probably the battleships then. And the frigates are really damn slow too.
To serve the Omnisire.
I'm pretty certain their frigates are just as slow, but...
Hostile signature detected.
Oh, it is a crew war spear.
Machine spirit
For some reason I
appeased.
thought maybe
Optimal course set.
you'd be able to prioritize weapons, or maybe that's the Orc Rocks I'm thinking of.
Rouse the engines.
And that's a Demiurge. Alright, that's good to know.
Engaging drive.
Well, the bombers do what's needed. They have fission at least.
The spirits obey.
I don't think... You do have the additional speed. Oh, you just don't have a mission dissipator. Okay, that explains it.
State your order.
So we'll get some hull breaching here.
Hostile signature detected. Rouse the engines.
You have seized a strategic area.
Yeah, you killed one of the bombers, so
We are ready to
this
serve.
is fine by me. I do lose a bomber
Engaging
squadron,
drive.
though, but... Did really 4 squadrons get beaten by... Oh, it's a stronghold, that's why.
With matchless efficiency. Hostile signature detected.
This is not going to be pretty. I don't... Part of me doesn't really want to commit to doing this.
Appeased. Hostile signature detected.
Because this is a rude welcome back.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
There goes 1200 health there.
Machine spirit appeased. Transition begun.
Which one's my... Okay, I was wondering which one still has scanner pulse.
Engage engine red lines. Engaging drive. Receiving your order.
Yeah, that hurt like hell, I bet.
Optimal course set.
I'm sorry there, buddy.
Serve the Omnisire. Starhawks engaging.
And it's only going to get worse in a moment.
Transition begun.
So let's keep an eye out for the War Spear. I want to try and finish this off. Because he's getting ready to take evasive maneuvers, so let's not allow him. Just don't let him run.
Calculating vectors. Escort ship.
I said you're not allowed to run. So take your bombing like a good demiurge.
Thruster routines active. Optimal course set.
And sadly he's not being slowed, but it helps. Because so far the fighters are shooting down his fleet, his hit points. And he's probably going to mutiny him pretty soon too.
Reroute power to retro propulsion. Rouse the engines. Machine spirit.
I have point defense, so... And sadly the cutting laser missed.
Engage engine red lines. Starhawks engaging. Receiving
Just
your
kill it
order.
now. You know what to do, bombers.
Reroute power to retro propulsion.
Although, I need to kill the fighters first.
Transition begun.
And mutiny there.
Machine spirit appeased.
So,
Engage.
how much do you want to bet
protocols.
that there's a light cruiser just salt running
The
everywhere?
spirits obey.
Unless that's the flagship right down there, which is possible,
Receiving your
but
order.
not really important now.
With matchless efficiency. We are ready to serve.
Reveal our frigates,
Rouse the engines to fury.
and then just clean up.
Calculating vectors.
I'm not going to get my broadside boring, am
Does
I?
not compute.
Well, we found our light cruiser.
Thruster routines active.
You don't have emission dissipator, so you're not going to be able to run away very quickly. Oh, there's multiples of them. Interesting.
Transition begun. Starhawks engaging. Engaging drive.
Now, priority is to just destroy the deck.
Machine spirit appeased. Optimal course set.
If I can destroy it, that could be
Hostile
nice.
signature detected.
Okay, so you're doing the proper thing and not like doing sneaky shenanigans.
With matchless efficiency. Rouse the engines to fury. Calculating vectors.
Alright.
Thruster routines active.
At least this buys me some time
To serve
for
the
the Radstorm to
Omnisire.
come back up. But let's reveal the ship.
Hostile signature detected.
And you no longer have... Yeah, let's destroy your deck so you can't hide anymore.
Receiving your order.
And you are hybrid, so...
Interceptors engaging.
How many bombers do I have left? I have none on you.
Receiving your order.
One. So I think the flagship has none at the moment.
Rouse the engines.
Might be what I'm learning here.
Optimal course set.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Yep, you better turn towards me there.
Odds of survival
Although,
falling.
doubling up the Novacans may have been a mistake, but that's fine by me. I'll take this trade. Because now I can ram this thing head on.
State your order.
You have accumulated 50% of strategic points.
Engaging drive. Engage ancient red lines.
That was a nice maneuver, but now we gotta do the damage needed, which means my bombers need to connect.
Reroute power to retro propulsion. Interceptors engaging. With matchless efficiency.
And I have Novacans coming back up in a moment, but I don't think that's helpful. So let's just scare off these frigates.
The spirits obey. State your
Because
order.
I'm still doing nice damage to them. And meanwhile, get that thing to run.
To serve the Omnisire. Interceptors engaging.
Can we ram you a bit more to finish this off?
Engage engine red lines.
Because the Radstorm was effective. I want to say.
With matchless efficiency. State your order.
No, you think you can do those fancy maneuvers? I can do it too.
Receiving your order. Rouse the engines.
There, now your flagship's gone. I hope you're happy.
Machine spirit appeased. Optimal course set.
And repairs are about to come back up in a
Focusing war
moment.
sight.
So, 3, 2,
To serve the
1,
Omnisire.
get rid of the fires.
With matchless efficiency.
And I
We
have the
are
lead on
ready to
points, so I'm
serve.
not worried about the objective at all.
Interceptors engaging. Reroute power to
I
retro
think we are golden
propulsion.
now.
Thruster
And you only
routines
have-
active.
Yeah, you have 67 armor all around, so just ram it.
The spirits obey. State your order.
And you have no... I don't think my flagship has any bombers left. So I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. Perfect time to kill a deck though, at least.
Rouse the engines. Machine spirit appeased. Receiving
No,
your
you killed
order.
my cruiser. That's... I won't let this insult stand. Not in the slightest. No one expects the 83 armor ram. Which is why it's going to be so much more devastating if I ever use the Arc Mechanicus some more. It's got a ramming spur on that thing for additional ramming goodness. A bit of an odd match. They definitely had a good number of games in with the 60 levels in. Let's try for a little bit more, but what fleet should I jump over to next? Is the honest question. I think I'll just play with more of the Massive Claw. I believe this is the one that has the Massive Claw. Just play around with that. Try and fight against the AI or the movement of my fleet. So that way maybe I can actually get victory without my ships refusing to ram because they're too close together. And all that random nonsense. Oh, I don't even need that upgrade. I don't have battleships for this. So we'll see. Well, we're getting another opponent, so that's kind of nice. I thank you for, if anyone's watching, that's giving me these matches. Since it's hard to tell with everyone always having different names for Steam, Steam, YouTube, and the Twitch channel. Who do we get, though? Is it going to be the same person? Yeah, it's the same person as before. So probably the same random nonsense. We're going to see firsthand, perhaps, if Devourer can truly devour a Crude War Spear. It might be too big. It's probably just going to be... Oh. Okay, I guess that bug still exists. It was going so well before, now it just bugged out. Which is interesting. I would expect it just to do that just out of habit. So I'm surprised it's doing it now. So you're just going to grab this 1 point, so that way I don't have to worry about it. Alright, group 2. I can't remember. You're group 1, I think. I'm just wondering how my groups line up, because group 2 here has only 2 frigates. So I'm missing something here. I have 2 frigates too many, I think. Group 1. Oh no, this looks more accurate, never mind. Now how do I lay this out? Because the more spread I am, because remember, the plan for this fleet to be successful is to ideally attack their entire fleet at once if there's deathballing. Since I can't realistically focus fire, so I need to make them be forced into a very chaotic solution right off the bat. It's going to be tricky to do, but that's the dream at least. And with a bunch of light cruisers that might be hard, since they do have hidden ships after all. And I have one. Well, there was 3 contacts before. I don't even think there's much point going for any components, but it seems like we're dealing with 3 battleships, maybe? Maybe. And actually, let me rush you forward. And actually, you don't want to grab the point, silly me. Alright, silent rushes, that's all I can make of that. And I'm waiting for a beacon, or even fighters with that said. That's the most important thing to watch for, is if I need to take evasive maneuvers. Also, hold fire is a good idea too. Now, I'm pretty certain these are battleships, so we'll grab the point immediately, are we? Huh. Not quite. So we got hidden ships who knows where. And I have no fighters, I'm realizing too, so if there's seeker missiles to worry about,
a strategic area.
I am going to be pretty damn vulnerable to seeker missiles. I don't think that spore field's even going to make it there anytime soon, but... Okay, so cruiser there. Huh, I wonder if you saw the spore field. Oh, you're not really aiming the fighters at me. I'm just trying to figure out what prompted the fighters to come out. Yep, I guess we have a series fleet now, maybe? 6 cruisers. I only see 2 and then 3 others. So anything's up for grabs at this point. Main thing I could do is just be patient. Because if I have chameleonic skin for my frigates, which if they get revealed is not a big deal, they can just hide again. And I can just ignore ramming damage by charging them, if I can get that close. And I'm sure that gave him a bit of a scare for how close that was.
You have seized a strategic area.
Alright, so let's make him panic there. It's going to be a bit awkward, but let's try and make this work. Because you're going to be hit easily enough. Sadly, you're also... Well, actually, they might not, but... Not until the scanner pulse expires, but... Krakens get to draw a little bit of fire. I would have liked the ram, though. Here I am. Now you better be ready. You're probably going to boost away, but... You burn your bombers now, that's fine. Because this is not going to be pretty for you. Just get everything in here as quickly as possible.
Seized a strategic area.
Alright. I'm doing a bad job controlling my fleet though, but... You got the main thing that matters at least, I'm hoping. Okay, bombers are doing their damage, so we gotta be mindful of that. And you're pretty much dead at this point. Yeah, I'm doing a bad job controlling my fleet, but you can't even move, so... I think I'm winning this exchange slightly. And keep in mind, this one ship was already crippled, so if I can ram a bit more, that'd be good. Ah, dang it. I wanted to do the recall, and I forgot to burn retros, I guess. Otherwise, yeah, you're pretty much almost dead at this point. Just because of that bit of a mishap. So that was terrible on my end, because that just maybe cost me a match right there.
25% of strategic points. You have
because after all,
25% of strategic
just having my ship's feral instinct is a big deal. Yeah, everything's just breaking now. I want that thing to just hide itself in asteroid belt and it just roamed off. Unfortunately, it would have been able to conceal itself since I don't think there would have been scanner pulses at the time. And sadly, you're going to hit the ship and nearly cause it to mutiny. That's unfortunate there.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Well, most of them are still holding fire because they still have to go through the shield, so it's not like the weapons actually do a whole lot. Maybe bioplasma, but let's see. I only have 2 bioplasma weapons, so I could turn it off, but an element where I definitely need to conceal myself, I would have to remember to turn them off every single time I try to hide. Otherwise, it does me no favors. I'm just giving away my position a lot of the time. Especially for the flagship that I don't want to get killed, because that alone cost me the match. And I probably could have had auto engagement for that situation too. But let's give it another attempt. I'm not doing this fleet justice. At least I'm gonna try anyway. We'll see if we get another match relatively quickly or not. And the player base is going up. We broke over 500 players at the moment. So it's not like it's going down. It's just, again, most of them are probably playing the single player mostly. Either way, if I can micromanage and crisis management this would help a ton, but I never did set attack orders. That's part of the problem too, didn't I? I tried to do move orders past them to kind of almost guarantee they would ram them, since part of me is a bit paranoid they won't just fully commit to the ram. And that's probably because I never set the engagement to melee, but at the same time, there is that issue again with if there's multiple ships too close, they're not going to move because they're worried about ramming each other. Which is where the babysitting in general comes in. Yeah, they might be coming on, but I see that it dies down in like the later evening anyway. Hello. Hello there, Steinster. Or Steinsmalser. I don't know how the hell to pronounce that. Either way, let's give this Tyranid fleet another try, since I crisis managed that poorly and the poor flagship suffered for it. Because really, if I just keep the flagship alive, that fleet is just so much more terrifying. Arguably, it may not even need to have taken part in the battle. It's just the burst damage that put it at risk there otherwise, with the bombers and seeker missiles. So I don't think we have an opponent they dropped out or disconnected. Otherwise we would have seen him by now. Let's see. I'm just expecting this to drop us off at the main lobby. And then we'll see if we can reconnect with them or not. Come on. There we go. Let's try it again. I do enjoy this fleet. It helps if I play it almost exclusively though to try and understand the pacing of it some. And of course, again, little nuances like try not to move past them. I'm just wondering, does it actually do anything when I try and do a move or behind the ship as opposed to just right-click move on them with auto move? A lot of my mindset is it's a habit really at this point, because if I want to ram them, I don't want to right-click on them because, like for Imperial Navy or Mechanicus, they just want to turn their broadside. Oh, the free sub option is there. I have the option as well. I don't think I could see it in my dashboard, but there is an option there I found when doing subscriptions to other channels. It's just there when asked what kind of sub do you want to give them, tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3. One of those options should be a free sub. Because I know Obi just subscribed there with the Prime, so thank you for that. And we got a couple other follows as well. Huh, weird. I know you can only give one subscription a month, so maybe the month hasn't technically rolled over. I honestly don't know, because I don't know what it looks like on your end. Because it normally tells you, or at least I recall seeing somewhere, when it expires. Oh god. I knew that something happened there as soon as honestly, my opponent probably didn't want a Tyranid mirror match. Is probably what happened here. Because that can be a weird mirror match to play in. Especially if you have boarding capabilities like my one, eat everything fleet with the strangle tentacles. That can be really weird. And very problematic. Let's at least try this again, maybe. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the video content at least. Now, if we can get news for whatever's coming up for Armada 2, Impossible DLC, or even announcement of Armada 3, that might help with more content for you there, OB. Aww. I recognize that number name. I just don't know if it's true if they're farming for legendary or not, because that's one surefire way to lose your legendary rank. Or your progress on it. I'm just wondering what kind of fleet would they have had, since Pyromass has definitely fallen out from grace a little bit. Or is probably not as effective, and we know you're on the Twitch chat, Stein, so you have an immensely significant advantage here, because now you can see where my fleet is, potentially. Now we're just going to play try-hard mode, I guess, somehow gain the victory. I'm just wondering, do I go brace for impact now or not? Okay, he doesn't have a second screen, so we'll give him a bunch of misdirection. We'll send our entire fleet to this isolated point. We'll sit there for about 2-3 minutes, so that way he can catch up with us. And then we'll just let him secret missile and shoot us while we are not secretly in position for a flanking run-by on him. Clearly we are not doing that. Perfect, the plan worked. Don't worry, I'm not bitter about it or against it, because we had one opponent in my last stream who I believe was watching when I was playing with the Massive Claws, so it encourages me to be spread out some more. So that way, ideally, the cruisers don't get picked off. Which just means I'm going to want to keep the cruisers back and be okay with the frigates being isolated, which really sucks because the bombers are going to be a nightmare for the Kraken since they don't have any point defense. So I'm screwed probably either way as far as Tau is concerned. And of course, never knowing if my opponent can hear rushes is a factor as well. Either way, all I can really do is try and spread out, because we kind of know what we're up against now. And I kind of want to destroy the engines again for that good measure. I'm not likely to get the critical hits, since I'm not really using lots of weaponry, let alone I don't think the Master Claws even gives me a critical hit, all outside the 400 hit point threshold, but if I can get the critical hit, that's a big deal. Otherwise, how the hell do we engage this? Because, again, 2 battleships means there's 6 frigates, which is definitely a bit of a burden for me. I can't rely on killing frigates. I'm going to have to just ignore the frigates that exist entirely once I'm revealed.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So however is the best positioning I can do, the better. So drone's going to grab this point, because really that's kind of what it's meant for. So that way I can play the objective game without really giving away my position. And I'm expecting frigates to scanner pulse at some point soon, even though they go the same speed as battleships. That's my one benefit, I guess. So they're not really taking point. Although, they could have had a mission dissipator. Huh, I didn't aim at you, but what probably happened was that it hit the ship instead of reaching its destination. So yeah. Yeah, if you can get yourself concealed from the bombers.
The enemy has seized a
So that worked
strategic
out well.
area.
We'll see what we can do about this. Because, yeah, you're just going to run. So we're going to have to deal with this a bit. And remember, let me prioritize my RAM, even though it may not do much. Yes, come to me. Come to my wing claws.
You have seized a strategic area.
Now let's not get complacent, because the good news, we're ramming the rear, and the rear is incredibly exposed. And the Krakens are doing well, at least delaying and stalling. Again, this kind of plays in part to what I said before about causing mass anarchy. So just munch the cruiser. I gotta be mindful of scanner pulses though, which is why I got disengaged now. And you lost your brain, or temporarily, so that's what happened there. Alright, munch on him for me, if you could. Because the shield's killing the cruisers, at least. Krakens, again, are regenerating health, so they're really good for this if they don't die immediately. And again, flagship's not isolated, so... Again, if I can control the flagship well, then I'm doing alright with this fleet, no matter how it goes. Because it's already falling apart. And now we're going to continue to make it fall apart. The only thing is, I don't think I got hit very much by seeker missiles and bombers. Except for maybe the Krakens when they chase the battleships, but I could be wrong there. And without a doubt, the battleship is almost completely untouched, so... This is a bit of an emphasizing what I mean. How the battleship may not die. Because I want to argue this is not much of a different match than it was just a moment ago. We still have frigates to deal with though, but we can reveal them. And one good boarding is all we need for Devour to just munch them. I did forget to turn off hold fire, but again, I probably do want to turn off because most of these weapons only hit the shields anyway.
You have seized a strategic
okay, Devours do have something, but okay, Bioplasma, at least there is justification to turn off because the Bioplasma always hits and they ignore shields.
25% of
but
strategic
still,
points.
they could easily backfire if they give away my position too. If I'm not diligent about turning them on and off at the right time. And there's our wreckage of our battleship. But yeah, since I don't have the convenience of Devour's that upgrade, at least the synaptic link or relay that used to allow the battle cruisers to give immunity to morale damage or mutiny, I need to keep that flagship alive, no questions asked. Even if ideally, as much as I don't want to do it, just keep it out in the middle of nowhere to not even take part in the fight. In which case, it would just encourage me to use a light cruiser, and I don't want to do that. That doesn't seem fun. Let's add that element of risk, but this fleet used to be really good because synaptic relay used to apply to the battle cruisers and not the hive ships. And then they had to nerf that, I guess. Arguably they could have buffed it, because I don't even think Tyranids ever really used battle cruisers, because Massive Claw wasn't really popular. Yeah. Because that's why I'm wondering, was it really a nerf? I'm trying to figure out the intention of why that was changed. And I want to believe it was more to buff the hive ships, really. Since there isn't really much incentive to use the Devourers, because have a look at them. They're either Massive Claw or Strangle Tentacles. They're not really equipped for what you normally see with Tyranids. Never mind the fact, when Pyro Acid was when Pyro Acid was prominent, the hive ship of course were the most popular because they have the extended range on them. So you never really seen any other kind of ships outside the Krakens, which, let's be honest, the Krakens are amazing. 83 armor, regenerating health, no point defense, but they are amazing against most fleets. And chameleonic skin, which I don't think other players don't really use this skill, they underestimate it. This is amazing for just the longevity of your frigates, because then they're forced to scanner pulse just to shoot at the damn frigate. Now, besides the first one where they're just trying to reveal you, that is. And since the rest of my fleet is stealth anyway and relies so much on stealth, with only 2 or 3 frigates, that means they have no backup scanner pulse for when I try and go for the kill 'em attack. Well, was it the fighter bays? We've seen the most egregious version of pure fighter ships, and that would be where? That's the 3. Despoilers, is it? And I have plenty of videos where those have been manageable. I have defeated the triple spoiler fleet quite well, and this is probably the most egregious version of a all-carrier ship. Excluding Tau, because after all, Tau rely more on the seeker missiles with the bombers to do cleanup. They just have the convenience of all fighters to protect their seeker missiles. So I don't really consider that a true carrier fleet by what you're talking about. Let's see, fleet was designed for more morale wins. Oh yeah, you're referring to the tentacle ships. It's hard to do morale damage because it may sound silly, but keep in mind, if you don't have anything else to do that additional morale damage, you're going to be just a little bit short when that deck is permanently destroyed, unless they already have that negative modifier. And then you have no backup. Never mind the risk of encouraging speech or rally, just negating your reliance on doing that morale damage. At least with the Strangle Tentacles, since it's the same case with the Strangle Tentacles, you don't really have enough firepower to use as a second wave. You do have Bioplasma, at least on this one, but at least my version of the Strangle Tentacles, whether it's a good fleet or not, was what? Actually, I have the fleet, so let me just look at the damn thing. 1 hive ship. Let's see. The boring torpedo cruisers, that was a change I had from before, because I did have Devourers, right? And I chose to go with the cruisers to basically afford all the Krakens, is really what it came down to. Since the battle cruiser doesn't give me additional frigate slots. But we do have hangar bays, which is also good for boarding. Pyras is kind of terrible synergy because I have to get through the shield now. Never mind it being a broadside weapon. So really, the only thing that can do that subtle little extra bit of morale damage with this fleet is the Bioplasma. Yeah, you don't ever really want to ram, because sure, you have ramming spurs on the hive ship, but it is a bit of a trap. You don't want to ram other cruisers because you only have 67 armor. You're, a lot of situations probably hurting yourself more with that ram. And that would be like the best way to force that mutiny too. It's interesting, but it feels like you can run out of momentum really quickly because, again, encouraging speech can negate that pretty well. I'm just wondering the situation if a smart opponent that knows what's going on, if they would repair as soon as they see the temporary damage on the deck, or when you kill the first third of the crew, since you're not going to get a lot of critical hits otherwise until you kill the second, get it in the red to get that permanent critical hit. So they might be able to hang on to that encouraging speech if that deck is not really needed. Yeah, I've seen plenty of hive ships just basically kill themselves when they rush into my ships. Sure, even if it's a broadside or a rear ram, if it's like Imperial Navy or anything that has broadside weaponry, they're adding that to the ramming damage you're doing to yourself too, and you're easily just killing yourself as a result of that. But otherwise, I do want to play more with the Massive Claw. It's just fun. It is tricky at the same time, since not only do we have to deal with the fact we need to melee, but the AI, the pathing, kind of fights against you as well. So it's still a really tricky fleet as much as I love to play with it more. But since we were talking about carriers, let's just play with the Stigs this time around. I like this a little bit more because at least then I have the mobility as a fallback, since the spoilers are never going to run away if they get a bad matchup, which might be Tau or something that can deal with their fighters. Although, I haven't played enough with the Stig fleet to know how this could even fare against like Tau anyway. And I think the plan, since I am Khorne, is to try and maximize boarding potential, but we'll see what we're up against if we get a match. If we get a match. And let's see, it's 2:30 now, so I'll have at most another hour maybe. If we can continue to get a steady stream of matches, because it was a really slow start. And there is a lot of satisfaction to be had if you can do a proper boarding run by. Because I basically did enough boarding damage to kill Imperial Navy cruisers just by the bloodletter parties and broadside boarding. It feels really empowering even if it is like very dangerous and can backfire, since you are flying into armor-piercing ammo range. And of course, just likely to take just as much boarding yourself if you don't position yourself properly. It's a lot of the reason why I probably lost against, the Chaos Mirror match, when I was up against, what was it, Carnages with armor piercing? It took a lot longer than I would have liked to do that run by, and by then the damage was already done, I think, despite how close that match got. Either way, might be waiting a couple minutes. They could be in a match. I'm just wondering, has this updated all? Nope, player base dropped again. So yeah, we're hitting that point where the Asians are calling it a night. Europeans at least are probably getting food ready. Normally around this time, the player base in general just drops off, which is why I need to try and do early morning streams. At least it seems like that's the best time. I don't know if that's true or not. Either way, I don't know how I feel about this stream. I don't even know how many matches I managed to get in or not. It was a lot of downtime there talking about the single player campaign and everything regarding that. Although, I am curious if anyone's on here is interested in some 2v2. The only 2v2 I managed to get from last week was from those in the Discord, and they are the regulars basically. Because that would be something different. And I like to think that would be more encouraging for any newer players, more inexperienced players to enjoy, because the burden's not on you nearly as much in a 2v2 after all. Either way, I guess I'll give it another couple minutes, and then I might stop the stream here, but I think what I might do anyway is just not transfer this over to YouTube and maybe still do, or at least still attempt to do a YouTube regular type of recording to make up for it. That's a shame that the graphics card had to die. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, we do have another match at least, so there's always that. As much as I would like to play 2v2, I would like to try and encourage other players to play the game as opposed to just keep playing 2v2 with the same people. That's the only thing I don't like about at least jumping onto the Discord, because I think it's the same 3 or 4 people doing 2v2 at this point. If I'm guessing, because again, I don't really go on Discord at all to read up on what's going on. So I'm the worst person to ask on that. There's no timer. Ah. It crashed on us for some reason. I almost forgot for a moment what my fleet was. Almost. Either way, we'll see if I'm trying to think on what may have happened there. Normally, someone's game crashed or disconnected, but that's when the timer just times out. I don't know what to make of that disconnect error we got, though. Since normally, when we have issues like that, someone's just disconnected, and we just have to wait for them to come back on. Normally. Oh yeah, I can understand that, especially when you have like 2,000 points to play with, which can really make that a lot harder to deal with. Nidnoms! Maybe I should have gone back with my Tyranids. We could have a nom off. Which Master Claw is better than the other? This can go amazingly for me, because their shields are tied to their point defense after all. So if I'm somehow lucky enough to get a bombing run on someone with no shields or a cruiser, then I could just launch all my bombers in theory, if I can reliably keep vision. Although, safe to say, I'm not going to be benefiting from the corn skills here. What are the skills useful? Again, that's the problem. Because extended range isn't really that helpful, because the max range is 22,500. Even if it'll say, like, or 23,500. So I can't shoot at, like, not 27. I tried multiple times unless that was fixed. And navigational shields might be worth it to reconceal myself. Although, this is a terrible layout because there's only, what, 3 asteroid belts and that's it. What on earth could I... What on earth is actually useful for an upgrade, though? None of them, really. I don't care about morale. They're all invisible. They're all invisible, so maybe having alternate means to mark them with the frigates might be useful, but I can't think of much else. And I spent so much time talking, let's focus on actually playing. I haven't positioned myself properly.
We stand ready!
Alright, Nidnoms, let's see how... Nope, I can hear the rushes, so they were up here somewhere. And actually, let me just launch fighters. I just want that confidence there's nothing waiting for me over here. Since that's the direction I'm going to be going, essentially.
You have seized a strategic area.
I'm just going to play the objective game, grab these 3 points, and these fighters are just going to make sure there's nothing waiting for me
To the slaughter!
when I get
The
there.
enemy has seized a strategic area.
Engines hot!
That's the idea anyway.
Hold your fire! We'll follow your command.
I kind of want to grab this point first and backtrack, because at least then I'm running away from them
Reporting!
if they're pretty close. Okay,
Enemy ship sighted!
alright, so that paid off. Fire asset.
For the War Master!
So their entire fleet's over there.
We are unstoppable!
Well, so much for my idea, because they're just rushing through.
We stand ready!
And I think I'm going to lose one. I might lose this one fighter squadron, but it'll tie up one of their squads as a bonus.
As the War Master wills. Your orders.
And the sooner I get these fighters boarded, the better.
Show us our victims! As the War Master
So I'm
wills!
thinking with
The
Fire
enemy
Acid,
has
my
seized
opponent's
a
going to
strategic
definitely
area.
want to get aggressive on me.
Show us our victims! Setting course. Engines hot!
I just want to slow you down, ideally.
Retros activated!
You have seized a strategic area.
I know where they're at, but... oh, I hear more of them.
For the ruinous power!
We're not out of the woods yet.
Swift Death Squadron, seeking prey. Setting course. Enemy ship sighted. We are unstoppable.
I do need to prioritize these ships, so I think we start killing some of these frigates.
Doomfire's unleashed. We are unstoppable.
Yep, just frigates should be able to dodge the Fire Acid well enough just by turning on and off their boosters,
For now,
so long as I'm aware of that.
setting course.
Can I at least hit the
enemy has
frigate
seized a strategic
while it's
area.
away from the capital ship?
Reporting.
One down.
Doomfire's unleashed. Your orders. For the ruinous powers.
2 down.
Show us our victims.
At least that way I'm not going to get slowed down.
Break them.
Oh, are you marked? Oh, you're still marked, so those bombers are going to do the job there.
Moving to those
You can just
coordinates.
run. Okay. I think we're down, what, 5 frigates?
Set engines to full ahead. We'll follow your command.
Of course, not the
for
most
now.
exciting, but can you blame me? I kind of need to run away by
For the
necessity.
War Master.
I don't really have much of a choice.
Swift Death Squadron, seeking
And thankfully, these are only fighters, no boarding parties yet.
for the War Master.
So I should be able to deal with them really well. I'm just waiting for the rush before I drop the stasis bomb.
Show us our victims.
Although I'm going to need to do it anyway. That was
Repair
badly
damage
timed engine
at
critical hit.
once. As the War Master wills. We stand ready. Slaughter them.
Aww.
Swift Death Squadron, seeking prey.
Sadly, there's not a lot I can do about that.
To the slaughter!
Let's see.
Retros
I do have the
activated.
stasis bomb now, so let's try
Engines hot.
to cripple this thing some more. Point defense are gone, so let's actually recall the fighters.
Retros activated.
And I did just use up all my combustion gauge. Thankfully, stasis bomb helps a little bit.
Departing.
It basically means I have 30 seconds of,
Moving to those
dodging
coordinates.
all their Fire Acid almost.
You have accumulated
Since it accounts for where I'm
25%
going to be when they
strategic points.
travel normally.
Your orders!
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Set engines to full ahead! Show us our victims!
Okay, here comes the morale damage, but
Setting course!
can we kill the fighters quickly? Because sadly, the fighters lasted long enough, I think, that the bombers are going to get shot at.
We'll follow your command.
There. Good damage there. Recall. I gotta recall the fighters before I forget about them.
We stand ready! We are unstoppable!
I apologize to my opponent if they're gonna run away, if they're gonna get frustrated by this, but again, I'm not really gonna be able to fight them head on. That boring damage is absurd if I can't just follow it up with a kill. But once this hive ship's gone, that should help a bit. Because you're on all sorts of fire, I can almost ignore you.
Retros activated!
I just gotta make sure the boring damage isn't too ridiculous at the same time. Ah,
You
dang
have
it.
seized a
He
strategic
trapped two of my
area.
bomber squadrons with those fighters. Kill the flagship. A little bit more.
Your orders.
Aww.
Setting course.
If I had carnages and slaughters, maybe, but even then, I would honestly be trying to run away and soften them up.
Executing high energy turn.
But now we have an opportunity to finish him
Engines
off.
up.
So we'll give him what he wants at this point now.
Show us
It's
our
in my
victims.
advantage.
We'll follow your command.
Ramming
Now.
speed.
Doomfire's unleashed. Your orders.
One more
We
time for
stand
good
ready.
measure.
Setting course.
Since I forgot about my port frigates, let them join in. There we go. With all these additional spikes, clearly there's additional ramming damage, right? Just think of all the lacerations we just did. We're basically we're nothing but space porcupines with all these spikes. I apologize to my opponent, but again, whether they're carnages, slaughters, or anything like that, I am not getting anywhere close to you because you can easily turn around even if I tried to flank them. Although Imperial Navy would want to get aggressive because they have torpedoes and ramming spurs. So maybe I'll throw them a bone a little bit. Let's just go full torpedoes then. Assuming we face them again, I'll give it a quick moment in case they queue back up. So you want aggression? We'll give it to you. You're just not gonna like it if these torpedoes connect. I am still gonna want to soften them up and maybe shoot down the shield so their point defense is a little less effective for the torpedoes, but well, we got him again. The gnawing shall continue. Yep, that bomber damage is ridiculous, but let's see, I'm trying to remember how many fighters. Yeah, they had fighters, so outside my one Stig, which I was using to kind of be a distraction, they can manage the bombers with their own fighter count at least. So there is some things they can do to mitigate that. Again, I was relying on trying to kill off their shields so they don't have the point defense. Now I shouldn't need stasis bomb here. Armor piercing ammo. I'm expecting this to be close range, but I am going to be playing it slow at first. And keep in mind, I already can pinpoint where they are pretty easily. We have a nice little mechanic in the game for that. So I'm just gonna take advantage of that a bit. And even better, I can light them on fire if I can hit them with these melted torpedoes too. I just gotta make sure I don't hit myself is a problem. And I don't have an easy way to just see the torpedoes. I would like to cover all my arcs. So just to make sure, let's just slightly rotate to the left. I don't want to be blindsided over here if I'm going to figure out where they are.
Burn retros!
Aye, Admiral. Engaging engines.
So we'll know if he's on this half of the map or not, because we did not see Krakens, although there is a bit of a gap there. I worry it might widen a bit.
Maximum burn!
And then we have the beacon to add to this. Although I probably could have saved it until afterwards, but
burn retros!
they already
The
grabbed the
enemy has
objective and are
seized a
giving away their
strategic
position.
area. The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So there's no element of surprise
Engaging
here.
engines!
We serve.
You have seized a strategic area.
Now all I need to do is reveal them.
Maximum burn.
Because again, I'm probably going to try and soften them up first. And then go in for the kill. I don't know if I actually did any damage or not, but there was nothing over here otherwise, or at least no battleship. And they're rushing, I can hear them.
Aye, Admiral. Your orders?
As much as I would love to grab this objective, it's probably not a good idea with how aggressive they're being.
Burn retros!
Enemy sighted.
Heading acknowledged.
So what I want to do first, kill the frigates.
Starhawks loaded and sent.
Because they can make a mess of this if I don't kill them.
We wait your command.
Ooh, I actually got
Underway.
a melted torpedo hit.
Execute high energy turn.
And speaking of which,
Changing
we got
course.
another melted torpedo hit.
Ship ready. Setting course.
Alright.
Your orders.
I'm just most afraid of the frigates because they're going to be
Ship ready.
slowing me down and making me unable to fight.
Engaging target.
Understood.
Yeah, we got some good fire
Underway.
results, so... Force them to rush.
Setting course.
Well, that's going to be interesting.
We serve.
Let's give him what he wants.
All ahead,
He
full.
wants so badly, you're going to goddamn well get it.
We wait your command.
Acquiring new vector.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Understood. Ship ready.
So that's one down. Let's get ready for torpedoes, because we're going to need to work on that quickly.
Ship ready. All ahead, full. We wait your command.
Sadly, I could have waited till Meltas, but it was such a good opportunity.
Changing course.
And I think the corpse is in the way, sadly. I'm not going to get my melt to hit, am I?
We wait your command.
Your orders?
There, so you're pretty much dead.
All ahead, full.
We serve.
Well, thanks for making me clear the spore field. Like, that was about to be created, but...
The battle is lost.
Alright, just get out of the spore
Your
field
orders?
now. You're going to just burn to death.
Maximum
Once the fighters are
burn.
gone, you should be safe, if only temporarily.
The punishment for disobedience is death.
And it may be a spore field, but I could still turn really damn well.
Ship ready.
So I'm not worried about aiming my
Coordinates
torpedoes.
acknowledged. All
I
ahead,
should have waited
full.
until,
We wait your command.
I don't know, until the shields were down is what I was trying to say.
Burn retros. Starhawks loaded and sent.
Now,
Course engaged.
Now who's running from who?
I am all.
I'm sorry to say, this, for someone calling me a coward,
Engaging
this is
engines.
seeming very reminiscent
Acquiring new vector.
of a certain player you were just against.
Your orders? Changing course.
Alright, fine, be that way.
Understood.
Taking heavy damage.
Engaging engines.
The enemy has
So this thing's already dead.
25% of strategic
It just
points.
doesn't realize it yet with like 8 fire assaults. Since that's what? Well, they're all close to expiring, so maybe it might
Aye,
live, if
Admiral.
only just barely. So, let's send it off.
Disengage. Disengage.
There. Yeah, it kind of works out pretty well. Especially against orcs, if you ever face off against the, the blood axes, because they can't conveniently just boost away to reposition, because then they're just giving away one of their key upgrades. So, they're in a bit of trouble. So, if you ever have to deal with the commandos, that's basically how you negate that right off the bat. You just need to pay close attention to how quickly they're getting shot down. Because any frigate that you just happen to be shooting at can shoot down torpedoes. As if they're going down rapidly is what you need to watch for. And apparently, we actually did manage to hit the hive ship with at least one torpedo or two. Because it did lose like about 180 health, I think. Or rather 90 health, I guess, when you factor in the regeneration. But yeah, that was a bit more of a serious fleet, even though it does have its own weakness. Because the frigates are really damn fragile. I need to watch them like a hawk. Since I do want to utilize the overlords for a little more power, a little more long range if I can't get the close range engagement I want. And of course they capture objectives that much faster too. Whereas if I had the tyrants, the traditional 6 tyrants, no, not 7, even though that's... Is it possible to have 7 tyrants? We're off a bit. Yeah, we're just barely off. I can afford like 4 of these, can I? And that's definitely a lot more resilient for my vision. My own twist on it, at least. I enjoy it, and of course it encourages... It kind of demands I pay attention to the frigates if I want to get the most out of it. Which is a lot of the reason why I like it, even if I may not be doing a good job of it. Now, I'm trying to figure out what to play next. If anyone is interested in seeing a particular fleet, I'll let you have the opportunity to speak up now. I might just do 1, maybe 2 more matches before I stop here. Since we haven't played Necron, any of the Tau, Eldari, or Space Marine yet. So I'm leaving that up in the air for a moment, while I contemplate what alternatives. Maybe I can play with the Strangle Tentacle fleet. It's a very complicated fleet, so it's not like I'm gonna be winning easily if I face like a lower admiral level fleet. So there's merit there. Now, I'm half wondering if I want to play with the Shroud fleet again, since we did get close to victory. I did a terrible job of controlling it though, but play an unconventional fleet. I thought that's what I was doing, damn you. I have, for crying out loud, your Aeronautica Imperialis is not a conventional fleet. It's bad. The one benefit it has going for it compared to Imperial Navy is, interestingly, the Eye of the Omni sign synergizes really well with the bombers if you can keep them from moving. Because then the bombers don't have to chase them until they run out of combustion gauge, so there's the one thing going for that fleet. So maybe I'll play with the 5 Shroud fleet. I am still tempted to play my Strangled Tentacles because I don't ever really know many people, if anyone, who uses like Strangled Tentacles that heavily. or I just been unlucky and not encountered them. But we'll play with the Shroud Fleet then. Get the chain out. I don't know about the bolt, but we'll see how we do. And good God, keep in mind, the Shrouds have extended sensor range, so there's a really cheesy strategy where you could just have the flagship hover just on the edge of the scanner pulse range and just do morale damage to him while invisible. I haven't even tested it, so I don't know if it works like that or not. But I can imagine that would be frustrating if your opponent is oblivious that they can do that. Just imagine how ridiculous that would be to orcs, because that's like what, 4.5 morale a second to everyone in sensor range. So every minute, that's... Yeah, it's not all that drastic on its own, I suppose, but still. Considering how slow-paced some of these battles can be, that's a lot of morale damage over time. We have invisible shrouds again, so I guess this bug has been good otherwise since I reinstalled. Because yeah, we're not seeing here at the moment, so I want to think we're okay. I just gotta cram it in my head. G is now the scanner pulse ability. So I think I just have to slow down because I keep hitting cold arms because the hotkeys are swapped or changed. And I do want to grab objectives too, which is what frigates are good for, since I only need 2 of them for the structural analyzer. Health regen can be a bit of a problem, but I don't really want to commit to a fight if I want to get the damage in, which is why I don't really want to consider the Scarab Swarm. Is my thought process there? Oops, let me unready. My flagship's in a bad spot. Although it's going to readjust over time anyway, I imagine. Let's see if we can somehow get a win with this fleet. It's my personal favorite, especially when I started using it, because it had a lot of potential, and then the light cruiser capture point patch hit, and it just ruined its potential. The poor thing. Well, really, it did that to all light cruisers, so it's just me being bitter. Okay. This is interesting. Fancy me and you here out in the middle of nowhere. Alright. So apparently I can see the frigates, somehow. I wonder if that'll change once they're in the gas cloud or not. Well, this is interesting.
On the march.
Yeah, basically what I do is I changed my, if you can even see it down here, I have Shift F for the lightning strike and just F regularly for the broadside boarding. So I use the keyboard for a lot of that. But that's another subtle thing they could have done, is maybe actually have hotkeys for all these abilities, especially just transferring troops.
You have seized a strategic
To be fair,
area.
that was like a patch change. So that was something that was implemented afterwards, because lightning striking and boarding was how you reactivate and transfer crew to your ships. It wasn't innately in there back when troop damage was immediate.
How may I serve? I serve your glory.
The enemy has seized
Now
a
I'm curious,
strategic
is that-
area.
Okay. Oh, they didn't even go in the gas cloud, so I have no idea if they're visible or not. This is... I don't want to use this info, because I'm tempted to turn around because I know the frigate's there.
Ready to serve.
So what I could do is maybe bait out the scanner pulse. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Inferior vessels sighted.
Not all of them were visible though, which is a weird thing.
Yes, my liege.
Yeah,
Relocating.
this is going to be tricky because stealth is really important to me because I don't have the damage to actually win a fight, straight up fight.
Moving.
That's a bit of a problem.
I serve your glory.
I need to kill these things.
Drop point anchors.
The enemy has seized a
Okay, I'll
strategic
take that.
area.
Ready to serve. Motor units fully engaged. What is your command?
Okay, just recall, that's fine.
How may I serve? Inevitable.
Now I just gotta wait for a scanner pulse to expire.
Serve your glory.
And I think we only did damage to one frigate, I think.
Initializing motive.
Or killed one frigate, rather, so that's not all that exciting yet.
I am the dynasty sphere. Drop void anchors. Inevitable.
Alright, so everything's hitting again.
Ready to serve.
Now let's have a real match now that I hopefully don't have intel on where his frigates are. Although the bugs are back.
Relocating.
It was looking good for a while, but the bugs are back.
What is your command?
And I'm just gonna fire in here because they already know I was in here. We're not fooling anyone.
I serve your glory. On the march.
Aw, dang it, it's still in play because this one was never engaged and revealed.
Inferior vessel sighted.
Although that's convenient. That makes me feel better about this.
How may I serve? Inevitable.
Now just kill it, please. Get rid of another frigate for me.
The enemy has
Because I
seized a
cannot miss
strategic
and use scanner
area.
pulse, I believe.
On the march.
I am forfeiting the points, the objectives, but there's not much I can do about it.
As you command.
I'm just waiting for the mark to expire, although 3 of them are not revealed right now.
Moving.
Alright, just hide yourself.
How may I serve? Relocating.
I could silent run, but that would burn a 2-minute cooldown.
Initializing motive.
And I was planning on jumping over here anyway, if I felt the need to hurry.
I serve your glory.
Alright, so now all the frigates are finally invisible.
Ready to
So
serve.
maybe for the second time I can...
Inevitable.
Okay, so it just... one of them mutinied, so I think we got rid of 3 of them in that case.
I serve your glory.
His scanner pulse was a dud.
As you command.
We're gonna harass... and it's gonna be tricky to harass you because you're about to go in a gas cloud.
Serve.
And I know all of them are in a gas cloud, so...
Moving.
because they're all invisible.
What is your command? Yes, my liege.
Alright, let's engage, kill more frigates.
I am the dynasty sphere.
Okay.
On the march.
The bombers hit me just before it got away. It's alive at least, and it will regenerate its health.
I serve your glory. All power to motive units. Ready to serve.
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Now,
The
can I...
enemy has accumulated 25%
Where is my
of
flagship?
strategic points.
Because I love this potential right now, but it's going to be fatal.
Motive units fully engaged. Drop point anchors.
You have no engines, so...
Inferior vessel sighted.
And there, the hotkey just changed again. As insult to injury. I should have jumped right away, but
All power to motive units.
let's make this tricky. Attempt to, but... Engines should repair pretty soon. I have no fighters, is the only catch. Oh no, they went after the frigates.
Inevitable. I am the dynasty spear.
Alright, everyone just get to hiding.
Motive units fully engaged.
Just hide yourself and then prepare. I'm hoping...
Reassembling
Oh, I panicked that. Come on, jump already, damn it. Ah. Yeah, I saw the engines were repaired and of course the panic jump didn't work. Not that it matters, it's still coming at me.
Yes, my liege. What is your command?
Ah, that's a shame.
Initializing motive power.
Your engines are permanently gone.
How may I serve?
So can
All power to motive units.
we
On the
let me
march.
see.
The enemy has accumulated.
Yeah, I probably should have
50%
changed the
of
regeneration,
strategic
but yeah.
points.
It was looking promising there. Flagship got isolated too easily, because that's what secret missiles and bombers are gonna do.
Is your command?
But I can't.
Motive units fully engaged. Inevitable.
You have accumulated 50%.
The
of
bombers
strategic
immediately hit me
points.
too, dang it, so I don't even have a time to kind of prepare for to launch my fighters in defense.
Comply. All power to motive units.
So let's at least kill the flagship in style, shall we?
Relocate.
At least attempt to.
Drop point anchors.
So my engines are not going to be up in time.
Flayed ones are feasting.
So, come on, stop rebelling. I want you to move. Because you can dodge these secret missiles. And I want to see you dodge more of them.
What is your command? Victory probabilities. On the march.
Well. Not a lot I could do there. I don't have any star pulse generators, which is kind of important for this type of matchup.
As you command.
If I can... And they had a ridiculous amount of frigates too, which is just the misfortune of dealing with the battleships. But even then, 6 cruisers had so many fighters that it's difficult to avoid them anyway.
Moving.
The enemy has accumulated 75% of strategic points.
Might have been a different story if I chose to go after the flagship instead. At least then, it couldn't have hit me with the railguns, and we would have done a lot of morale damage to them. Because we did kill the one battleship incredibly well. Well. There was a lot going against that fleet. Again, Star Pulse generator is pretty mandatory. Which is why a lot of times you see double battleship or triple cruisers. So even my hybrid fleet of battleship and 3 shrouds is not a very good fleet either. At least in comparison. Since you have that convenience when you don't have really any fighters at all. Otherwise, I want to try playing with the orcs and the rocks some more. One more time. One last hurrah, I guess. Because then I'll stop. At least thankfully we got ourselves a couple more matches, so I can sort of be a little bit happy about transferring this over to YouTube. I'm going to have to check how much actual matches we got, though. I don't even need that, but we'll see what our matchup is first. How is the numbers? Is it update yet? Oh, I'm not going to have much of a chance. No, it didn't update yet. It was 500, now it dropped down to like 470 about an hour ago. So it might update after this match. Oh, well, it's not a Tyranid face-off or mirror match, so you're not going to just run away on me, right? I'm assuming it's the same person. You never can tell. It could be 3 or 439 42 4418. That was the one that was the mirror match. But yeah, hitting them with their own secret missiles can be really nice. It's difficult to do since just to remember how mobile Tau are in general. It's only if they're not paying attention that they're really going to get hit by the secret missiles. Even that battleship can turn on a dime almost. So it's not realistic, but it makes it dangerous for them. So hopefully if you can get in close somehow, they're really inclined to not commit to that engagement, or commit to firing secret missiles at least. And this is an opportunity to practice what I had against Dark Assassin before. Stasis Bomb did crap for me, and I prioritized the deck instead of the engines, which that alone may have cost me that match with how close it was. So we'll see how this fares depending on what they're using. Since it was rough for me at first, just to give you a quick rundown of what it was for Dark Assassin, I couldn't really do any damage to him aside for like just my long range guns. And once he burnt all 3 of his stasis bombs, I was able to get in close and start hitting with the heavy guns, but by then the damage was kind of already done. And he was cycling ships for his shields, which helped a lot for keeping him alive. It was close enough, I feel like if Dark Assassin didn't cycle and rotate his ships around, he may have just lost even with the poor choices and a little bit of bad luck I had on my part. Because one lucky critical engine hit is all I really needed to start crippling his fleet. Since I didn't destroy or isolate any of his ships until the very end, to emphasize my point.
Here we go!
Ah. Well, that was disappointing. The rocks should not be underestimated. It's going all rocks that is a bit... It's probably not a good idea though. But they have the mobility and it actually worked pretty well again against Dark Assassin. I was eventually able to get in close with the rocks, where normally the battle cruisers would either have lost their engines, lost their weapon, realistically lost their deck. It probably would have fell apart a lot sooner. So it had the longevity to outlast the stasis bombs. So it worked out well in that example, and I feel like I could have won just with very subtle changes, because again, I had stasis bomb for that match and it did absolutely nothing for me. Since stasis bomb is so much easier to use when you're kind of running away, as opposed to being the aggressor. So if I had changed that to something else, like the shock attack gun, to maybe get enough boarding damage to guarantee a critical hit on 1 or 2 ships, even if it's only lightly damaged, that could have made the difference. Like I said, very subtle things with how close it could have been. Hard to say if it actually would have though, because again, I didn't start killing ships until near the very end. And by then, almost all of them had like 300, 400 health, except for maybe one cruiser, I think. While Dark Assassin had all these freest shots on my rocks for the entire match. and tried to go after the battleship for a brief period, which once it actually fell apart, he started focusing down the battleship. That's when it fell apart, because it died so much quicker, and of course the critical hits on that thing, especially losing my tractor cannon, kind of hurt too. Although we may not get... Well, I don't know what happened to our Tyranid friend, but I would like to end this off on one final big rock go. Maybe? We'll have to see. I am curious, did Steam charts update? Well, it did go back up again, but it's still hovering at just under 500 though. It didn't go up much. But yeah, I think this might be my last stream for Armada 2 for the time being, until we can get another surge of players at least from a sale or some event. So I'll try and bring it back to the regular YouTube stuff, which I'll have to start planning out what fleet I'm going to play as. Oh well, I guess I'll leave it at that then. I'm not going to burn anyone else's time, and I have less than an hour and a half now before I have to head out, so thank you everyone for tuning in. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.